Hello and welcome to yet another exciting edition of Trendz Travel. I'm your host for today, Eloise Scoble. And before we take you to exciting destinations across the world, we start in our own backyard, where Katlego takes us on fine dining and teddy shows all about Lesotho land. Do stay tuned. Coming up next, we're keeping it local as local is lekker, going to Soweto for a fine dining experience. Staying local, we go to the desert for the Africa Burn Conference. And if you're a lover of ice cream, then the California Ice Cream Festival is just for you. And lastly, we make a stop at the Fashion Met exhibition.
Lapeng Lounge. That is where Only One Cuisine held an exclusive fine dining experience for Sowetans. Visual art and live entertainment was the order of the day.
Well, honestly, at the beginning I wanted to create a scenery where people can relax, feel like you're sitting at home in your couch and you're enjoying that also ice cream that you've always wanted to have, And two, it was also bringing the old blends of art, because if you look at it, everything that was here was art. Poetry was art, live performance was art, fine art was downstairs, and cooking itself was art. So the concept behind it was combining all different types of arts in one room and creating a beautiful scenery to have people enjoy and indulge in without even feeling the pressure of actually doing it.
Introducing a different culture of networking and art appreciation within the Southern Townships is a core interest for the Only One Cuisine team.
We at the DeVille Bailey Gallery, we thought we'd put together a bunch of contemporary artists that deal with what a lot of society is dealing with at the moment, identity and understanding each other, much like Zanetta's pieces and some of the pieces by Elisa Ray, which is titled The Unbearable Lightness of Dark, and just trying to find beauty in negative spaces, and that's why we put this together.
The event featured local and well-established artists in order to help empower other upcoming individuals.
My work is basically about identity, and I'm interested in how culture infiltrates on each other, therefore creating a hybrid out of us. So I particularly look at human race as a hybrid species. So say you are Xhosa, to me you are not purely Xhosa, because then there's cuisine that you have come across, like sushi, that has embedded itself into your culture and identity as well, so therefore kind of infiltrating in who you are and becoming part of you. It's acrylic. I use acrylics, and at first I wanted to, because I impose prints, African so to speak, but it's actually some are wax prints from Britain. But because I deal with print, I first started thinking I should literally impose the fabric on it, but then I thought it would be more engaging and it would require me to study the fabric, know about it more and its characteristic when I paint it. So I use acrylic for that as well.
Tonight is about celebrating life and appreciating the fact that we are different. We come from all different sorts of backgrounds, but even though we are different, we are also capable of bringing so much value into each other's lives. And that is what fine dining is about. It's about bringing a group of people into one room, giving them the opportunity to network and mingle, and who knows, maybe a business deal might come out. It's beautiful. It's alone. The attention is going to be all on its own. Plus, it is run by beautiful people, amazing people. Sis Maggie is one of the most amazing women I've ever met in my life, and I've been offered another venue, but my heart was set on this one, and the setup, the toning, it just felt right. Fine, Only One Cuisine is about combination of traditional and Western dishes in one room. So what I did was I made sure that in each of the menus there was a traditional and a Western dish. And on top of that, I made sure that I take the most simplest Western dish that anyone could be not reluctant to eat or try out and combine it with the Western dish, because after all, we Africans. And what more of being an African than appreciating the fact that you're African and eat African food? So it was a combination of two.
One of Joburg's biggest authentic cultural festival and music event, the Lusito Land Festival, took place on the eve of Freedom Day. This year, the festival marks its 36th anniversary of existence for showcasing its Portuguese extravaganza. Lusito, which means small child in Portuguese, has been pivotal in hosting this festival, which serves a greater purpose. Besides celebrating Portuguese pride, every year the profits from the festival go to the Lusito organization, which cares for the mentally and physically handicapped to go to school.
Okay, this event is to raise money for the Lusito school, and it's held every year. And the money raised at this festival is what supports the school, because 75% of the cost of the school has to be raised at this event, as the parents cannot afford to pay the full amount. We've got all the amenities on the ground. We have physiotherapists, the aquatherapy, speech therapy, got teachers, care workers, and we feed the children. So it's a mammoth task. It's a very big task. The committee are all volunteers, okay, so they're all volunteers, and it's our job to raise the money to carry on with the school. So it's very, very important, the success of this festival.
Families came in their numbers to experience the fun that was offered by the event, and judging by the number of stalls that were there, revelers were sure going to enjoy themselves. There were stalls for every need, from clothing items, toys for kids, and stuff for home decor. We caught up with Chef Vic Gonsalves to give us a lowdown of how to prepare some scrumptious espetadas.
Okay, so basically all the cubes come with a bit of fat, prepared like this from the butchers. So basically you just pop it into the skewer, all as long size so it doesn't roll around on the stick.
That's what you're explaining, okay?
Okay, then you keep putting 4 pieces is half a espetada. That's roughly about 400 grams. And then if you go for a full espetada, it's 8 pieces, which is about 800 grams. It's a simple dish and very enjoyable. Okay, so once it's on the skewer like this, now you have to you just sprinkle all the coarse salt on it, just on the outside, so it doesn't have any marinade. It's just the coarse salt that gives it flavor, because coarse salt is actually quite strong compared to the normal salt. Once it's done like this, then we go over to the open flame. Okay, and then you put it over the open flame. It must be very hot at all times, so that cooks it fast and it's almost done according to how the client wants it. You shake off the excess salt because it's obviously coarse salt, so it's hard to eat. And then once it's going, while it's fresh, you put a bit of bay leaves just to get the flavor into the raw meat. You see, so like that. You can either use dried bay leaves or green ones still. See, once then you keep rotating it so it can evenly get done. Okay, so this one's almost done.
The event didn't only cater for adults. Kids were also treated to some mega fun entertainment at the amusement park, with merry-go-rounds, looping stars and other rides on show.
We come every year and every year it's just better and better.
This venue has been a lot better than the previous one. And the Caprinas are the best.
Yeah.
Awesome! It was an awesome experience. It was awesome, really.
And then how do you want to come back again next year?
Yeah. Yes, tomorrow we're coming again. We're going to dance. We're dancing tomorrow again.
It was a phenomenal ride. The food is great.
Awesome.
Girls are nice.
Girls are nice. Rides are awesome. Yeah. So looking forward for next year's. Yes, definitely.
And really value for money.
Other highlights of the festival was a live concert with some of the finest South African musicians and bands taking to the stage to entertain the crowd. Hope the event lived up to its promise and to attract more festival goers for the next year's event. So for now we can safely say obrigado to our Portuguese friends.
Welcome back to Trendz Travel. For our next segment, we're not taking it very far. In fact, we're keeping it on the continent and we're keeping it at home with the South African Comic-Con Festival held here in Cape Town, as well as the Africa Burn Festival. Enjoy.
A temporary city of art has been created in the Tankwa Karoo Desert of South Africa.
This is Africa Burn 2017. This year there are 13,000 people at the event, and it is a very big experiment in creativity and community.
Launched in 2007, Africa Burn is a regional creative project featuring construction of temporary artworks, theme camps and mutant vehicles in the desert.
We've prepared for a whole year, and for 2 months we've been building Yggdrasil, the giant baobab tree. And essentially it's an investigation of the Scandinavian culture and the African culture, taking the tree of life from the Nordic countries and the tree of life from Africa and combining them into one modern tree.
Some of the artworks are burned towards the end of the event. Elaborate costumes, music and performance are also shown during the event. Krishni Governor, an enthusiast of vehicles, decorated her mutant vehicle into a pangolin using paper to mimic scales on its surface.
People even know that the pangolin is the most trafficked mammal, so I wanted to do something to kind of bring that into focus a little bit. And so that's why I picked this animal, and it was proved quite a challenge, obviously, because the pangolin's covered with scales, and to get all the scales on and to design the structure was quite tricky.
Africa Burn has become the biggest art festival in Africa, drawing a large number of artists, musicians, vehicle enthusiasts and tourists to the desert in South Africa each year.
Comic book and science fiction fans and creators from around the world were in Cape Town for the second edition of the city's Comic-Con. The event is inspired by the International Comic-Con, first held in 1970 in Southern California, as a platform to bring together different entertainment platforms with their followers in one place. Hundreds of similar events have been held around the world since then.
The idea is really, there's a lot of good guys out there doing things, but the thing is for us to connect them. But I think it's events like these where the guys will notice that there is scope for them to do something. There's a market for them. There's a fan base out there that would love to hear what's happening, especially with our African mythology, the stories out of Africa. There's beautiful things that can be told.
The South African fine artist and designer has been working with the long-running soccer-themed comic series Super Strikers. He recently launched his own project which publishes Kwezi, Xhosa and Zulu for Star. It is a series about a self-absorbed 19-year-old learning to use his newfound superpowers for good.
One of the key factors in my work is developing an African identity, well fit for the 21st century. I mean, the contemporary South African is very different to what we might, consider to be, part of the modern world. And there's so many great stories that we haven't told of ourselves and our cultures. And superimposing those factors into a superhero genre just felt so great, and such a powerful statement that creating South Africa's first superhero seemed like such a tantalizing idea that I couldn't resist. And that's where Kwezi came in, and I think more titles in that same vein will come out from my stable.
The gathering also attracted international players like US-based Top Cow president and COO Matthew Hawkins, who spoke to a room full of budding artists and fans and expressed interest in penetrating the African market.
I am here to try to show my work to an audience that has probably not been exposed to it before. Top Cow is well known internationally for books like Witchblade in the Darkness and Wanted, which was the Angelina Jolie film based on our comic book. We have about 6,000 titles we've published in our 25-year history, so there's a lot of material that's available. It's all available through Comixology, which is a digital imprint, so anyone can read it anywhere, but it's also available in print on Amazon. We're here definitely looking for other publishing partners in the African continent to publish in some of the native tongues.
Enthusiasts of comic culture had a chance to buy collectibles and experience products based on some of their favorite superheroes and villains. Newcomers had a chance to present their work and convince investors and fans that they can contribute to the future of comics.
I have mostly been exposed to international comics, but I definitely am starting to get interested in more African comics and more local talent, and that's definitely where I'm looking to break out into.
Organizers say the interest and skill around comics and African pop culture is enough to grow the event to other cities across Africa.
Congolese singer-songwriter and acoustic guitarist Lekua Kanza was in Senegal, where he performed at the St. Louis International Jazz Festival, one of Africa's top music events. Kanza started singing in church and is well known on the continent for being a coach on the Francophone Africa version of reality television singing competition, The Voice. Jazz, which began as a fusion between African and European rhythms, can still be inspired by African music.
Je pense que oui, parce que le jazz, quand même, de son origine, c'est une musique qui est partie d'ici. sous une autre forme, a été développé par les Américains, les Noirs américains et les autres. Et beaucoup d'artistes maintenant africains ont compris que c'est un chemin qui peut t'amener à une certaine excellence, à te donner un sens du travail au niveau musical. Je pense que c'est vraiment encouragé.
This year, the week-long open-air concert celebrating jazz brings together over 18 international and local artists. Kanza, who sings in French, Swahili, Lingala, Portuguese and English, performed on the second day of the festival to a crowd of 1,000 people as he opened for American jazz composer and Grammy Award-winning multi-instrumentalist Marcus Miller.
À travers ma musique, j'aimerais revivre, faire revivre l'amour. Parce qu'au-delà de tout ce qu'on peut vivre, chacun de nous, même s'il n'ose pas le dire réellement, sincèrement, même le plus hard de voyous des bandits a besoin d'amour, a besoin de ces instants où il retrouve ces minimums vitaux que l'humain a besoin. On l'a revu plusieurs fois, même les gens qui sont, entre parenthèses, bourrés d'argent, c'est pas pour ça qu'ils ont le bonheur. Et le bonheur, c'est pouvoir vivre des choses simples, le partage, le vrai, pas ces déséquilibres qu'il y a dans notre société, que des gens qui sont pétés de thunes dans leur compte, il y a des gens qui crèvent la faim dans la rue. Moi, je pense que c'est ça qu'il faut essayer un peu de changer. C'est le message important pour moi.
Once a lively French colonial trading port, sleepy St. Louis burst into life during the festival. The pastel-colored rectangular shops and houses lining the river were once the warehouses for gum, ivory, as well as slaves bound for the Atlantic trade. Kanza would be hard-pressed to find a venue more evocative of the suffering of slaves transported to the Americas, widely thought to have inspired the blues more than 1,000 years ago.
Par son histoire, je crois que Saint-Louis a besoin qu'on refasse revivre son historique, tout ce qui a pu se passer ici. Et encore une fois, pour moi, un festival ou un moment de musique n'est pas un moment anodin. C'est un moment de vie où l'humain, dans sa course folle à l'argent, au matériel, peut se permettre ce petit luxe de se dire « je m'arrête un instant pour pouvoir partager des moments de vie ». Donc c'est des moments qu'on doit préserver à nos jours. C'est le moment de communication et de communion avec le peuple.
In Kanza's Congo, President Joseph Kabila's failure to step down when his two-term mandate expired in December has further destabilized the already loosely governed country, a tinderbox of conflicts over power, land and ethnicity. But Kanza, who was born in the eastern city of Bakuva, prefers to separate his music from the consuming politics of his country.
À mon humble avis, un artiste peut changer les choses sans pour autant entrer dans la politique. C'est-à-dire qu'on est des gens, on a un lien direct avec le social. On a un lien direct avec l'humain, mais pas forcément tout ce qui est les hautes sphères, les décisions incroyables qu'on ne sait pas, qu'on ne connaît pas, qu'on ne maîtrise pas. Et je préfère, moi, parler aux gens directement dans leur cœur et penser au futur, penser à nos enfants qui sont là, que c'est eux qui vont faire l'Afrique, le monde de demain, et partager ce que nous, on pense comme priorité au niveau humain.
Now in its 25th year, the Jazz Festival, which is one of Africa's biggest, has in the past seen greats like Herbie Hancock. American blues musician Lucky Peterson is one of the headlining acts and is due to perform on the International Jazz Day on Sunday, the closing night of the festival. The daughter of legendary artist and activist Nina Simone, Lisa Simone also took to the stage this year. Well, that was Lakua Kanza on the Senegal Jazz Festival. Stay with us as we have more on Trendz Travel after the break.
one of the key things that you have there is preservation of the teeth, so that when you can function, you can chew your food. And if they are not taken care of properly, you can lose them.
The most common infection in the mouth is on the tooth, and it's dental caries or tooth decay.
That prolonged contact of the sugary substance, being juice or was in contact with the teeth for a long time, that's what causes the children to have what you see as rotten teeth.
We have a method that has been developed at VETS, which is called Appropriatech, which allows the person to have dentures delivered in a very quick and simple manner.
Join Health Talk every Saturday for all your health news.
If you're a lover of ice cream and old school retro charm, then you'll love what's coming up next.
A mouth-watering exhibit in Los Angeles celebrates all things ice cream. Called the Museum of Ice Cream, the collection features interactive installations where visitors are encouraged to taste, sniff, and play. In the Banana Split Room, 10,000 hanging banana replicas create a colorful jungle, while banana-scented scratch and sniff paper lines the walls. If you're a self-proclaimed dessert connoisseur, then you already consider dessert as an art. Thanks to the creative minds of Mayeli Span and her boyfriend Manish Vora, the public can appreciate this art. The Traveling Museum was born in the Big Apple and moved on to stardom in the Art District. How appropriate of sunny Los Angeles. It was originally scheduled to be in LA until May, but now it's here to stay. For the next 2 months at least, before moving on to its next dessert destination.
I'm definitely a mint chocolate chip guy, so this mint chocolate chip experience really is, it's definitely very unique to the museum, and having it's not a traditional museum experience. You're not just going here looking at installations. We're of course tasting many different things, but we also are all about sharing. It's meant to be a social experience, and a lot of people see on Instagram and Snapchat the thousands of images that are there, but what you experience once you're inside is folks like myself, actors, performers, who are actually guiding you through this experience, who are challenging you on your favorite flavors, who are asking you about your ice cream memories, and also telling you a little bit about a history, but also a little bit about just fun facts to know.
On the tasting side, visitors can sample select flavors from local California creameries or discover unique treats like cones of cookie dough. The exhibit is a social media fan's dream, as pictures and posts are encouraged throughout.
It's really cool, and it's really just fun to like mess around and eat ice cream all day.
What do you think about all these sprinkles?
They're really cool, but like don't eat them because that's not good.
I think it's kind of awesome. I think as an adult, if you can get into a pool and you don't have to get wet and just throw stuff around, it's perfect.
A gummy bear room where you're welcomed with a handful of gummy bears and surrounded by giant gummies that are very cute.
Oh, it's pretty swag-tastic. Like, it's pretty nice. I had no idea it existed, and it's pretty gnarly to see like this sort of like pop art style like thing revolving around candy, sugar, and ice cream. You know,
in terms of expansion, we want to spread the gospel of ice cream all over the country and all over the world. So we definitely have plans for new cities. We don't know yet where we're going, and hopefully in 2018 we will definitely hit an international market.
Complimentary ice cream from places like McConnell's, Salt and Straw and Cream, and the mouth-watering madness continues. This place is LA's very own version of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Members of the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, also known as FARC, took to parts of Bogota International Book Fair on Friday, promoting an idea of cultural exchange through art, books and seminars as the group looks to reintegrate into society after 5 decades of war. Among them was FARC member Inti Melewa, signing copies of her book Uncovering Memories of the Conflict, whilst explaining to guests the gruesome motifs of death and torture set among mountainous landscapes in her paintings. Malewa visited the FARC at just 23 for part of an assignment for art school, and, in an unexpected turn, joined the ranks, having worked for 14 years capturing images of the rebel between battles. She said the inclusion of these works in the book fair was a gesture of optimism and hope.
Bueno, este es un gesto cargado de esperanza, de optimismo, de alegría, porque así con las manifestaciones artísticas lograremos la reconciliación que tanto necesita Colombia. Qué bueno es ver ahora Colombia danzando, cantando, con música, con poesía, con teatro, y no en un conflicto que se ha venido dando por más de 50 años, se podría decir desde que muchos años atrás, como lo explica mi obra Desenterrando Memorias, que está hoy aquí en la Feria del Libro.
Also speaking at the fair was FARC commander Jesus Santric, who said the country's culture had to be adapted to make room for alternative options beyond war. He said education must begin with families and encourage people to step forward as social transformers. One guest who travelled from Western Colombia said she had been surprised to see the artistic sensibilities of the FARC commander, whom society had been taught, she said, to see no more than a guerrilla fighter or a military man.
Lo esencial para alcanzar la paz está en la cultura. Debe haber un cambio cultural, una transformación cultural, porque hay una hegemonía de una cultura para la sumisión. Y eso es lo esencial que tenemos que cambiar, y eso va fundamentalmente desde la formación familiar, desde la formación y de la educación. Yo creo que ese es un cambio fundamental que tenemos que dar, y hacia ahí tienen que apuntar quienes se quieran convertir en transformadores de una sociedad para que se genere una cultura de paz en Colombia.
Since its creation in 1988, the International Book Fair of Bogota, also known as FULBO, has been considered one of the country's most important cultural events, with approximately 1,000 publishers in attendance.
Yo vengo desde Pereira y este fue uno de los conversatorios que me trajo a mí, ver a los reinsertados de las FARC, ver a Jesús Santrich, escucharlo y encontrarme con esa sorpresa, por ejemplo, de la parte de sensibilidad artística de él, que era totalmente desconocida. O sea, nos enseñaron a verlos como unos militarotes, como unos guerrilleros, y encontramos esta parte tan sensible de la poesía, del arte y la cultura. Muy lindo. Este conversatorio para mí ha sido uno de los más hermosos que he podido asistir a lo largo de muchos años en la feria.
Reconciliación, reconciliación. Reconciliación de nuestra nación, para la gente que ama, para aquellos que votaron por el sí, que no quieren vivir más la guerra en este país, y para aquellos que votaron por el no. Reconciliación de nuestra nación.
Silhouettes of cyclists dressed in retro fashion from their parents' and grandparents' generations gathered in central Kiev before setting out on a ride across the Ukrainian capital. Women with intricate 1940s hairstyles and bright red lips mingled with men in tweed caps before the retro cruise. As the retro chic bicycles lined up at St. Sophia Square, their equally stylish owners were chatting, registering for the ride and posing for pictures in the sunshine.
Це костюм молодості моєї тьоті, вона ходила в ньому на екзамени в університеті, тому я його знайшла в антресолях моєї бабусі. А шляпку я зробила сама, а сумку я купила в вінтажному магазині.
Many bicycles were decorated with flags and flowers, and one even had a vintage piece of leather luggage. Cruise participants rode through central Kiev to the park where they had traditional English brunch with tea.
Я продумывала свой образ очень детально и очень долго. Это было за полгода до ретро-круиза, а за день у меня было уже 4 образа и истерика, в чем ехать. Предыдущий вариант был на самом деле брюки, я вдохновлялась Марлен Дитрих, но где-то там что-то пошло не так, и в общем на утро пришлось надевать юбку, искать бабушкины перчатки.
Это я люблю, да, и во всех мероприятиях, связанных с велосипедом, я участвую. Вот на 1 апреля мы ездили по городу и в ретро-круизах, и на женских велопарадах. В общем-то, стараюсь не отставать, несмотря на возраст и какие-то проблемы.
Participants are all in agreement that a certain aesthetic of beauty is no longer present in the world today and hope to bring it back with this fun day.
Мені подобається ця естетика, це дуже гарно. Зараз в сучасному світі, мабуть, не так багато гарних речей, на мій погляд. Ось тут такий концентрат краси.
The festival was launched several years ago. The cruise is modeled after the Tweed Run started in London in 2009, and its organizers say it is meant to unite people in the spirit of earlier times where culture was paramount.
Water-wise, water is an essential need. The scarcity of it could lead to loss of many lives, including livestock, plants, and much more. It requires us to use it sparingly and responsibly in times of need, failing which our taps and sanitation will not function. For more on water and weather issues, stay tuned to News Today, every Friday at 4:45 Central African Time. SABC News, making you water-wise.
A presumed U.S. drone strike in the south of the country has killed 3 Al-Qaeda suspects.
Death toll in Yemen's 18-month-old civil war now stands at about 10,000.
People get killed or die and are actually buried before they're recorded, and we don't have a way of recording that, but we know the numbers are much higher.
Water restrictions are to be imposed on villages in and around the Nkomazi municipality.
Pumps can't pump the water because there's no water in a river. And if the water is coming back, then it's full of mud.
those who can pray and those who can do any miracle to make sure that we've got enough rain. Give it a try.
Through 9 different spaces, the Costume Institute at the Metropolitan Museum of Art is showcasing the work of Japanese designer Rei Kawabuko. Andrew Bolton, the curator of the art museum, spent 13 years convincing the designer to do a solo show at the Met. She became the second living designer to have an exhibition entirely devoted to her work, one that will hopefully end the false distinction between art and fashion. The white-walled exhibition is broken into 9 sections, each examining in-betweenness. It's possible to get caught up in the heady philosophical questions Kawabuko poses in her works, like the dichotomy of absence and presence. Yet it's also possible to enjoy it as a more surface-level brain teaser. Is this art or is it clothing art? Those questions are the core of why the 74-year-old designer has been hailed as revolutionary and are on full display in the 140-piece collection. The exhibition guidebook suggests a pathway through the circular layout, inhabited by puzzle piece-like structures framing the garments, but guests are also encouraged to choose their own adventure and let their imaginations fly.
We chose Rei, for many reasons, but for me, I think she's completely changed the course of fashion history over the last 40 years. And many aspects of fashion that we now take for granted were pioneered by her. So I really feel as if she wasn't already here, we'd have to invent her. Her influence is so far-ranging.
Kawakubo is the first living designer the Institute has honored since Yves Saint Laurent in 1983. The exhibit is titled Art of the In-Between and shows various juxtapositions through fashion. Everyone says a skirt has to be sewn with the seams on the inside, or what if you try it on the outside? Equally fun is envisioning the petite Kawabuko handing a crumpled piece of paper to a design team and asking for a pattern to be made using its qualities, which apparently was what the genesis of the brown paper dress that kicks off the section is about. Talk about a Devil Wears Prada moment. If you're eager to find recognizable looks, head to the section 5 called Elite Culture, Popular Culture. There you'll find the tutus and leather jackets from Kawabuko's famous 2005 show Ballerina Motorbike. They are the most wearable, maybe not to Safeway, but even Forever 21 sells a version of the ballerina skirt and a faux motorcycle jacket. Section 6 is Kawabuko's interesting take on clothing worn to social rituals. Gazing at the layered Victorian-looking dresses and headpieces, it's hard not to wonder why we don't wear such elaborate cocoon-like veils for funerals and weddings. What would happen if we did?
It's 9 different zones, and it focuses on the idea of the in-between. I always feel as if Rei's work occupies a space between entities or boundaries, whether it's male, female, east, west, child, adults, object, subject. And I think what happens is that she tries to, and attempts and succeeds in dissolving those binary oppositions and create something new, a sort of hybrid out of those oppositions.
Because many of us are more familiar with modern art exhibitions and sterile-looking galleries than we are couture fashion presentations, In Between may be a counterintuitive crossover hit, attracting fans of both worlds. Its predecessor, 2016's Manus Ex Machina exhibition, drew more than 750,000 people, making it the second most popular, following 2015's hit China Through the Looking Glass, and the 7th most visited at the whole world of the Met.
I hope it's going to mean that we see more sort of conceptual fashions on the runway, so less overtly sexy, body-conscious clothes and more clothes that are sort of more provocative and confrontational.
The Costume Institute will hold its annual star-studded benefit known as the Met Ball to celebrate the opening. Ray Kawabuko, Comme des Garçons, Art of the In-Between will be open from May 4th to September 4th.
Quitting an events planning job last year to invest in slaying was the best career move Oluwatobilola or Hioma Bello says she has ever made. The entrepreneur sources snails from farmers in Lagos, Nigeria, and sells them to clients locally and abroad. Oluwatobilola collects the giant African land snail species, which are used in the beauty and food industries. The mollusks are increasingly being sought for their mucus, said to be full of collagen, glycolic acid, and antibiotics and other compounds that regenerate skin cells and heal cuts. Snail meat is also said to be nutritious. It is low in cholesterol and rich in proteins, making it a popular delicacy in various cultures. Oluwatobilola is preparing to ship her first consignment of 1,000 snails to the United Kingdom.
The export business came when I started here in Lagos, and I had a lot of inquiries from the US, from UK, from Holland, like a lot of Nigerians. Like even when I knew that I'd not even covered Lagos, even till now I've still not covered Lagos, you know. So when I started having inquiries via email, via phone calls, then a lot of African stores were calling me, oh, can you supply us? And you know, in my head it just clicked that, oh, there's a market for it. So that's how the export thing started, even though it took me a while to be able to find out the modalities of exporting snails, you know, outside of Nigeria.
Snail Care Farm is one of her suppliers. The 19-year-old farm breeds free-range snails. They roam and feed on greenery around the farm. The giant African snail is native to East and West Africa and is mostly found in agricultural areas, shrubs and wetlands. Snails are hermaphrodites, which means they can also lay eggs. The farm currently has over 20,000 snails.
Because of its amazing benefits, not just nutritional benefits, but other benefits. Like, for instance, the slime now is being harvested massively and used in cosmetics and pharmaceutical products. It has rejuvenating properties and helps with skin rejuvenation.
Oluwatobilola has spent about $4,000 to procure and ship this consignment of snails. Expect to make a healthy profit.
In terms of sourcing, you know, in large quantities, you have to have your game really, really tight. Then having the right people who would freight for you, because I know a lot of people have issues. They tell me, oh, it took them like 1 week or 2 weeks. So by the time they get their goods, it's rotting or customers are not interested, they are not as fresh as you are. So before I could get a freighting company that was reliable, it took time, because you know, at the end of the day, you're expending a lot of money into this. You don't just want to do something wishy-washy, and at the end of the day, your life savings just go down the drain.
Shipping of livestock requires that traders meet strict regulations, and she contacted a cargo company that regularly handles livestock shipments to help guide her through the lengthy process. And she plans to expand her business and open a snail factory in Nigeria. that can process snail meat and collect mucus, as well as grind snail shells into powder for fertilizer and poultry feed processing. Over 130 works of Francis Louver Museum are being displayed at the Hong Kong Heritage Museum to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the formation of the Hong Kong Special Administration Region government. A statue of writer Jean de La Fontaine and a fragment of a horse head dating from the 500 BC have never been taken out of the museum. A painting by Anthony van Dyck of Saint Sebastian bound for Matador has been shown outside France for the first time. The Hong Kong Special Administration Region was formed in 1997 when the former British colony went back into Chinese rule. Since then, Chinese tourists have been the #1 largest nationality to visit the Louvre.
Unfortunately, that's all we have for you this week, folks. Join us again next week, same time, same place. I'm Louise Scoble for Trendz Travel.